What if the greatest betrayal in history came not on a battlefield, but behind the closed doors of a quiet home? Imagine hiding for 2 years, the world outside consumed by war and genocide, while inside every creak of the floor could mean death. The Frank family believed they were safe, hidden in the secret annex above a warehouse in Amsterdam. They trusted their friends, they trusted silence, they trusted secrecy. But in August 1944, that trust was shattered. Nazi officers stormed the hiding place. And decades later, one haunting question still remains. Who betrayed Anne Frank? Amsterdam, 1942. The Nazi occupation had already made Jewish life nearly impossible. Otto Frank, a decorated German veteran of World War I, had moved his family to the Netherlands hoping for safety. He was educated, respected, and optimistic that reason could prevail over hatred. His wife, Edith, was thoughtful and religious, deeply devoted to her daughters. Margot, the eldest, was quiet, intelligent, and diligent in her studies. Anne, the youngest, was spirited, full of wit, energy, and an eagerness to write about the world. Together, they were not unlike any family in Amsterdam, clinging to normalcy in extraordinary times. But for the Nazis, the Franks were part of a much larger target. The Jewish community of Amsterdam was well integrated, educated, and visible. By 1942, Nazi authorities had begun systematic deportations to Westerbork transit, campaigned beyond to Auschwitz. To them, the Franks were not a family with dreams and laughter, but names on a list. What made their case unique was Otto Frank's connections, business ties, and the annex itself a secret network that required silence from many people to survive. That secrecy, however, also made them especially vulnerable to betrayal. The creak of the floor, a brush with discovery life in the annex, was defined by silence. By day, when workers moved through the warehouse below, the hidden families had to remain still. Even a single footstep, a chair sliding, or a cough could give them away. One afternoon, the silence was broken. A Nazi officer entered the warehouse. His boots echoed across the wooden floors as he searched room by room. Drawers slammed, doors creaked. Above him, Anne, Margot, Edith, Otto, and the others froze in terror. No one dared move. Even Anne held her breath. The ticking of the wall clock sounded deafening in the stillness. Every creak of the floor above could mean death. For minutes that stretched like hours, the officer searched, and then finally he left. The annex had been spared, but the close call reminded them that safety was only an illusion. Anne Frank, just 13, began writing in her diary. She poured her heart into it, her hopes of becoming a writer, her struggles with her mother, her innocent crushes, her fear of discovery. Through her pen, the annex became more than a hiding place. It became a world preserved in words. Each entry showed a girl who could have been anyone's daughter, anyone's sister. But outside, the Nazis were tightening their grip. Amsterdam's Jewish population was being deported by the thousands. Neighbors disappeared overnight. Whole families never returned. Informants thrived in this climate. The Gestapo offered money, power, or simply favor in exchange for Jewish names and hiding places. Families like the Franks were both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary because they were Jews hiding to survive. Extraordinary because of the risks others took to protect them. On August 4, 1944, their world collapsed. A car pulled up outside the warehouse. Gestapo officer Karl Silberbauer entered with Dutch police. They went straight to the annex. The door was forced open. The hiders were dragged out. Anne, Margot, Edith, and Otto were arrested, along with the Van Pels family and Fritz Pfeffer. The helpers were taken too, though some would later be released. But the Nazis knew exactly where to look. Someone had spoken. Someone had betrayed them. Silberbauer himself later admitted he was acting on a tip. Yet, even under interrogation after the war, Silberbauer could not or would not name his source. The identity of the betrayer vanished into shadows. One theory pointed to Willem van Meran, the warehouse manager. He was known to be suspicious of the annex, even reporting strange activity. Yet no direct evidence linked him to the betrayal. Another suspect, Tony Allers, a Dutch Nazi sympathizer, who blackmailed Otto Frank. Others had motive, access, and connections with the Gestapo. Still, records remain inconclusive. Some believed it was Lena Hartag, a cleaner, who spoke too freely. Others suggested an anonymous caller tipped off authorities, a betrayal lost to time. In recent years, new research reopened the case. A team of investigators used modern techniques: cold case analysis, profiling, digital archives. Their findings suggested the betrayer may have been Arnold van den Berg, a prominent Jewish notary. Van den Berg was said to have passed lists of hiding places to the Nazis to protect his own family. It was a shocking theory, one Jew betraying another to survive. But historians remain divided, the evidence circumstantial, the theory unproven. Anne Frank did not survive the war. She died in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, just weeks before liberation. Her mother Edith also perished. Margot, her sister, was lost too. Otto Frank, the father, was the only one to return. Among the belongings salvaged from the annex, Anne's diary survived. Otto published it, ensuring her voice would not be silenced. The diary of Anne Frank became one of the most powerful testaments to hope, humanity, and tragedy in history. But behind its words lingers the unhealed wound: betrayal. The Judas Files remind us that betrayal often comes not from strangers, but from those close enough to know our secrets. For Anne Frank, the identity of the betrayer matters less than the courage of her words that endured beyond their silence. Betrayal destroyed lives, but Anne's diary preserved truth. This was another Judas File who betrayed Anne Frank. The mystery endures, but her voice remains immortal. Subscribe to the Judas Files. Next, we uncover another haunting betrayal, the story of Vidkun Quisling, the man whose very name became synonymous with treason.